Welcome to Gallardo Forward. My name is Fidencio Joel Gallardo, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're going to do another edition of sharing our fitness stories, but this time I've asked some friends to come along. I think there's nothing more inspiring and motivating than to hear the experiences of others. So I really appreciate my friends who took the time to do this. And now, without further ado, let's get to today's stories.
Tania, and I'm here to share my fitness story, really my wellness story. It really, for me, the most important thing I can share was my experience when I was in my 20s, mid-20s, and I was suffering a lot of chronic fatigue. And I was eating healthy. I was a vegetarian at the time, so, you can make a judgment about whether that is healthy or not healthy, but at the time I was eating a lot of fruits, vegetables, just really good whole foods, no meat. But I just still suffered from fatigue. I felt like it was just I could never really get to a point where I was like, wow, why is everybody outrunning me and doing marathons and doing triathlons? And I just can't even think about doing those things. But, I went to my doctor, and at the time, not my normal doctor now, but just a random doctor. And I go, I have this problem where I'm really fatigued, and I'm eating right, I'm healthy, I don't eat junk food, I don't eat sodas, I'm getting good sleep, I'm young, I shouldn't feel so depleted. I feel so fatigued, and it's like I want to do things, but I just feel like I just can't. And it's just bringing me down. And he immediately goes, oh, stop talking. You're depressed. Here's antidepressants. All right, see you later. And I was like, okay, hold on. Now, I have nothing against medical treatments. I think there's wonderful things out there. I think there's things that have helped people so much, okay? So I'm here to criticize his solution for me. I just didn't feel like it was the right solution. I said, okay, excuse me. Before we start loading me up on whatever you want to load me up on, I'm not gonna fight with you on it. I just want, could you just check my blood first? Maybe could you give me the courtesy of just checking my blood? So he did. So he's like, okay, we'll do it your way. So come back, do the blood test, and he looks at my results and he's like, wow, you are chronically deficient in vitamin B12. Chronically. You're super low in your iron and you're super low in your vitamin D. All right? And yeah, so there you go, folks. The minute that I took the first B12 treatment, I took a shot, it's an actual syringe full of the medicine, of the vitamin. Within an hour, I was like, is this how the rest of the world feels? Have I been missing out? I felt like finally I could be myself. I was feeling better. I was feeling nourished. I had the energy to do things. I had the mental clarity, the energy in my blood to do things. And so, iron was really important too. Really important. I mean, it helps carry oxygen in your blood. So moral of the story is, before you start judging yourself, have self-compassion. You might think you're lazy, but, just give yourself the opportunity to really find out what's going on with your body, just chemically, emotionally, mentally, physically. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not here to diagnose or, say that every sign of fatigue is a sign of mineral deficiency. But that was just my story. And for me, I found so much healing in getting on a good vitamin regimen. And for me, a lot of people say, oh, you can get your vitamins through your food. I just feel like I have a different biological makeup, and I do need some extra help with some multivitamins and some B12 treatments. And so with that, I hope that inspires you to really get to know your body a little bit better. Talk to your doctor, be open about your feelings, be open about really what's going on, and trust your gut. Had I not really pushed a little bit on my doctor, I would have, probably still had problems because I wasn't treating the root cause of the problem with his initial prescription, I would have probably still had things that were hindering me in my health. So hope that's inspired, and hope all of you get to live happy and productive lives.
Hi everyone, my name is Alejandra and I'm here to talk about a little bit about my my personal and my wellness journey, and specifically about my vegan diet. So at this point, I've been vegan for almost a year and a half. I decided to transition last year when I learned about how vegan diets tend to be more environmentally friendly. And yeah, so for me it was ethical and more environmental reasons, but obviously people do it for a lot of different reasons. Some people do it because they love animals and they don't want to see them hurt. Other people do it for the health benefits. And those are all valid reasons to go vegan, but for me it was the environmental reasons. And what a vegan diet is that you can't eat animal products, so anything that's derived from an animal, you just can't eat it. So no dairy, no meat, no eggs, no honey, no gelatin. So it's pretty restrictive, and it can get a little bit difficult sometimes. And to differentiate that from being a vegetarian, vegetarians, they don't eat meat, but they eat, they tend to eat eggs, they tend to eat fish, honey, but it also just depends on the person and what their preferences are. It looks different for everybody. So even veganism could look different for different people. For example, there's raw vegans who, they don't eat processed foods. They only eat strictly unprocessed plants, vegetables, fruits. And so yeah, there's a lot of different types of categories even within diets. And so that kind of leads me to my next point about a myth that I want to debunk, that just because you're vegan, that means you're healthy. That's not true. A lot of vegan food can be very processed. And so even though a burger can be vegan, that doesn't mean that it's healthy. It's still very processed. So I think all of this comes with with a caution that you have to do everything with balance. And in my personal experience, it was very difficult to transition to veganism just because, as someone who grew up eating meat and dairy their entire lives, I pretty much cut a lot of things out of my diet that I usually ate. So I guess the health benefit that came out of my experience is that I became a lot more mindful about what I was eating, and a lot of the snacks and a lot of the foods that I used to eat, everything got removed. So I had to learn a healthier alternative to how to snack and how to choose foods and how to eat out at events. That all became very difficult, but I think it made me more mindful and conscious of what I was putting into my body. So that was definitely a plus that came out of my experience. And yeah, and it's been an amazing journey, and it's something that I look forward to growing and evolving and learning new things. I've discovered a lot of new vegetables, fruits, plants, supplements, everything, just a lot of different things that I didn't know about. And all of this, of course, comes with caution. I would advise checking in with your doctors or a nutritionist before making the decision. This diet might not be for everyone, so I definitely advise checking in with a medical practitioner before deciding to do such a big jump. And yeah, like I said before, just do everything with balance, and yeah, reach out if anybody ever has any questions, and thank you for letting me share my experience.
I've been working out consistently for the last 30 years, yet I've always struggled with my weight. I've always been 20 to 30 pounds overweight, according to my doctor. And it didn't matter what kind of cardio I was doing, whether I was running or on the treadmill or taking classes, you name it. I was trying everything. And I was working out 5 to 6 days a week, but the weight just wouldn't come off. And I was actually eating pretty healthily. I wasn't eating bad food. So it wasn't about how often I was or wasn't working out. It wasn't about what I was eating. It was about how I was eating. Fortunately, I came across intermittent fasting. So my intermittent fasting story begins at a meeting about a year and a half ago. I noticed one of my colleagues, a muscular guy, he was starting to lean out, starting to lose some weight. So I asked him, hey, what are you doing? And he told me about intermittent fasting. He told me how he had reduced the window of time in which he eats from 14 hours down to 8, and that had done the trick. I was a little puzzled. I thought, okay, so you're just eating fewer hours of the day and that does the trick? And he said, exactly. It got me to thinking about my eating habits at the time, and I realized that I was actually eating 16 hours of the day and only fasting for 8. I was doing the opposite of what I should be doing. Now, I thought I'd give it a shot. I'm not going to lie though, in the beginning, I was a little worried. I thought to myself, how am I going to have energy to go to the gym? I would normally eat breakfast at 4 in the morning before I headed to the gym for the 5 o'clock class. I thought, I'm going to faint. I'm not going to have any energy. But let me tell you, I skipped breakfast, headed to the gym, and I was fine. And gradually, over time, I reduced my window from 16 to 14 to 12 to 10 to 8 hours a day. And that's what I've done ever since then. I eat 8 hours of the day, and I fast for the other 16. Now, during the other 16, I can drink water, and that's what I do. They say you can even drink, plain coffee or plain tea, but I just stick to water those other 16 hours. And it's curious, like I'm not even hungry, My body knows the food is coming, so when time comes to eat, I eat. And the rest of the day, I'm okay. I normally eat between 10 and 6 or 11 and 7. It depends on what's going on, if I have an evening meeting or something. But it works, and I have plenty of energy. In fact, I have more energy than I used to have before. So my intermittent fasting worked for me. I lost the 20 pounds, and I've kept those pounds off ever since. Now, if anyone out there wants to try something like this, I would recommend you check with your doctor. I don't think intermittent fasting is advisable for children. I don't think it's advisable for adults over the age of 65. I don't think it's a good idea if you do it if you're diabetic. I mean, you want to check with your doctor if you have any kind of chronic condition to make sure it's going to be safe for you. But I know that this intermittent fasting has been the absolute game changer. I would still have those extra 20 pounds if it weren't for simply reducing the amount of time in a day in which I'm ingesting food. They also say it's really good for your organs. They get to rest for 16 hours because you're not always constantly feeding yourself. So that's my story. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. I'd love to answer any questions you may have. All right, take care, everyone. Be well.